What's up, Honors, and welcome to part 2 of checking out every store's best animatronics of 2025. Of course, in the last part, we checked out 5 different retailers, and today we're checking out 5 more. And overall, I've got to say the 5 retailers we're talking about in today's video have also really been stepping up their game for 2025, giving us a really good line of Halloween animatronics. Of course, some of the awesome stores we're going to be checking out today is like HalloweenCostumes.com, which this year gave us their largest animatronic collection yet, which overall this looks insane. And stores like Canadian Tire, which this year have really given us a ton of great stuff. So of course, with that said, that's enough talking for the intro. Let's of course get into our first retailer of today's video, which is of course HalloweenCostumes.com. Alright, and for those who don't know exactly what HalloweenCostumes.com is, it's an online retail of Halloween decorations and costumes in both Canada and the US, and overall they've given us some decent animatronic lineups the past so many years, but this year's definitely their best by far. They've really stepped it up and given us a ton of great animatronics, and these few right here I believe are the best of the best from their lineup for this year. Starting off, I've got to give a mention to the 2 new Beetlejuice animatronics this year, of course being Adam and Barbara. These both look really awesome and are honestly some of the best licensed props I've ever seen from any retailer. Now, I will say they do have some simple side-to-side motion. The Adam guy does have some cool motion with the fingers too, but really I just love the design of these guys. They give them that creepy look that they have in that one scene from the movie, and overall it looks insane. And yeah, these guys would just be so good if you have both of them just paired together. Another one I've just got to give a mention to is Hops the Dismembered Zombie. I'm a really big fan of zombies, and this guy is probably one of the best ones out there, I would say. I love the design of him. He looks really creepy. The face right there is awesome, and they sort of got this businessman type look, which looks pretty cool. And then also the animation is really cool. I like how his arm there, they gave it that detail where it's sort of spinning the guts around. That's really creepy and somewhat unique. And then he's also sort of leaning side to side, which is also a bit different. So overall, this guy right here, tons of awesome stuff going on, and honestly, I may have to say he's even one of the best zombies we've ever seen. And then to end it off for Halloween costumes, 2 more that I've got to mention is of course the 2 new Killer Clowns guy, where we of course have Spiky, and then we also have Rudy, which these 2, I've got to say, they're some of the best Killer Clowns animatronics we've ever seen. I think I do even prefer them over the Spirit Halloween one. I don't know, they just look a whole lot cooler, especially Spiky. I like how he has the balloon dog there with him. That's a nice detail. And even Rudy, I like how he has the little gun right there with the fog effect. Overall, these 2, they just look great, and yeah, some of the best licensed props, again, with these that we have ever seen from any retailer. So overall, Halloween costumes, a really great lineup this year. I think out of any retail, you might have the best animatronics, because honestly, there's not really many from this lineup that I would say is that bad. There's a whole lot more that I would have liked to include in this video, but anyways, they're probably the 5 best of the year in my opinion. And anyways, let's move on to the next retailer, which is of course Haunted Hill Farm. And moving on to Haunted Hill Farm, for those who have never really heard of it, it's pretty much another online retailer mainly specializing in Halloween animatronics and decorations. And overall, this year they have a pretty good lineup of some new and return animatronics. So overall, let's talk about some of the best of this lineup. And to start off, let's of course talk about the Soul Harvester, which this one is pretty much a new version of the Harvester Souls animatronic we've seen at Spirit Halloween before, but instead of it being a reaper with a little girl, instead this time it's a witch with a little boy. And pretty much this animatronic, she sort of just sucks the soul out of him, which is really creepy. I love that use of the fog effect. And yeah, just a ton of animation going on this year. Of course, like bends over a bit to sort of lean towards him to suck his soul, and then she sort of puts her arm around him a bit. Overall, it looks really cool, and yeah, some great animation. Overall, this is just a solid animatronic. They did a great job on the design for this. Another one that I've just got to mention is the Ice Cream Clown. This guy right here, I really love a bunch of stuff with him. Of course, just how he looks is really cool. I like the sort of detail where he has the cone just on top of his head and his ice cream just dripping all over him. You can see sort of the drip marks on his shirt and then all over his pants and everything. It's awesome. I also love that big ice cream cone he's got there in the one end with the eyeball that moves around. And overall, he's just such a cool looking one. He could use a little bit more animation, but for what he is, he's definitely one of the best clown animatronics from any retailer ever. I'm just such a big fan of this guy. He is insane. And then finally, I've got to give a mention to the Coat Rack Monster. This guy's one that they're bringing back from Spirit Halloween back from 2014, which this guy, honestly, one of my favorite older techie animatronics, so it's really cool to see him brought back here from Haunted Hill Farm. Pretty much what this guy is it's this coat rack, just looks like a normal coat rack at first, but then when he's animated, he has this really cool jump scare where his head pops up and then his arms pop up. Overall, it's really cool, just such a good jump scare, so effective. And overall, just such a cool one to see brought back. I love this guy. So overall, Haunted will farm some really awesome animatronics this year. You've really done a good job, and yeah, honestly, I can't wait to see what you guys do next year, because I assume it's going to be even better than what you've given us for this year. And moving on, next up, let's talk about Rona, which is pretty much the Canadian version of Lowe's, where this year they've given us a decent Halloween animatronic lineup, and there's really two out of this lineup that stand out to me as some of the best of the year. First of all, I'm gonna have to give a mention to the new Groundbreaker skeleton. This guy right here, you know, I'm not the biggest fan of these Groundbreaker skeletons just because there's so many out there, but the one thing I do appreciate about this guy that's sort of different is they've given him these posable arms and everything, the head and everything, unlike all the other Groundbreaker skeletons we've got in the past where they're all just molded into one form. This guy can really pose him however you want, so you can have his arms just on the ground like some of the other ones, or he can put his hands up in the air and do lots of cool stuff. Overall, I do like that customizability that they've given him. It's sort of different from the other Groundbreaker skeletons. And then I've also got to give a mention to the brand new 10-foot Plague Doctor. This guy is honestly the best animatronic that I've ever seen sold here at Rona. I just really love a lot of things about this guy. I like just how big he is. It does say 10 feet, but truly to the head, that's only around 8 feet, but still he is massive. I like how he has the head movement there paired with the arm movement. That is awesome. And yeah, he just looks really cool. I like the design, everything he went with, and then the audio sounds great. Overall, he's just such an awesome animatronic, and honestly one that I would love to get. So overall, Rona, honestly one of your best animatronic lineups yet. You're giving us some pretty cool stuff. Some of the other stuff is just cheaper Sunstore stuff, but even that, some of it I don't mind it too much. It's kind of cool. So overall, Rona, great stuff, and I can't wait to see what you give us next year, because I assume it'll be even better than what you've given us this year. And moving on, let's talk about another Canadian retailer, this time being Canadian Tire, which this year has given us another really great animatronic lineup, and here are the few that I think are the best of the best. First of all, I've got to say the brand new 10-foot Plague Doctor, which not too much to say about this guy. It's the exact same as the Rona model, but I pretty much love him for the exact same reasons. But moving on from him, there's two others that I think really stand out. It was really cool this year. First of all, we got the Howlin' Werewolf. This guy right here is one that was sold at Big Lots last year, now it's finally in Canada, and overall, I really love this animatronic. Its animation is really cool. I like how he just throws his back, then howls at the moon. That's so awesome, so unique, and honestly, a pretty good jump scare. And overall, I like how big he is too. He's at around like 7 feet tall and everything there, and he's a pretty just big guy. His design is really cool too. It's somewhat a typical werewolf, but I do like the look that they have given him. Overall, he's just such a great animatronic, and cool to finally see him in Canada. And then of course, one other one that I've got to mention is the brand new Bluetooth Reaper with guitar. This guy here is an awesome animatronic. A few things I really love about him. One thing is that Bluetooth compatibility. I love how I can just play any song through him. He's such an awesome one just for that. Then also the design is pretty cool. It is just a typical Reaper look, which I think could have been improved a bit, but I do still really love the look of the guitar he has, and then that head bowl is pretty cool. Overall, it's really cool, and one that I actually picked up, and I'm really glad I picked him up because he's gonna look so good in my haunt this year. And overall, I've got to say, Canadian Tire, I'm really impressed with what you have done this year. Honestly, it's your biggest animatronic lineup yet. I haven't seen another year they've sold this many animatronics. Usually sell only around like 2 or 3, but this year you gave us around 10 new ones, I believe. So overall, some really awesome ones, and hopefully I'll be able to pick up some on clearance because there's some really cool ones I'd love to get. Alright, and carrying on, we've got one more retailer to talk about in today's video. That retailer, of course, being Sam's Club, which this year I believe is their largest animatronic lineup yet. They've given us quite a few new animatronics, and right here are the few that I think are the best from them. First of all, I've just got to go mention to the brand new animated alien. This guy just looks really cool. I like how he's sort of a little bit different from the typical alien designs we get. I like how they give him that clothing and everything. The head design is a little bit different, and overall, he's just such a cool looking one. And at 8.5 feet, that's pretty tall for what he is too. I've also got to give a mention to the brand new Graveyard Violinist. This guy right here, I just really love just how unique he is with his design and everything. He's a massive one at 9 feet there, and I like how he's sort of sitting on a tombstone there. Looks creepy. And then also, it's sort of interesting how he's holding the violin there and playing everything. Overall, just a unique animatronic, and I really do appreciate just how well they did on the design for this being somewhat different from what we normally see. And then finally, I'm gonna have to say the Ghostly Skeleton. This guy right here is a cool one. I like how he sort of has that floated effect where he's only really holding on to the tombstone right there, and it doesn't seem like it should be supporting him, but of course it is. And I also love just the design on this guy. The ghost himself looks really creepy, and then the tombstone there also looks awesome. The light features are really cool. The ghost in there is all the lights, and I like the light there on the tombstone. Overall, really awesome animatronic. At 9 feet tall, this guy's a massive one too. So overall, Sam's Club, some really awesome stuff. I do wish that you did have stores here in Canada because some of the stuff, honestly, I would like to see, but overall, some cool stuff this year, and I can't wait to see what you guys release next year too. And anyways, with all that said, that's of course it for part 2 of checking out every store's best Halloween animatronics. Of course, I'm probably gonna have a part 3 out and maybe a part 4. Depends how many more retailers there are that have animatronics. But overall, since we talked about today, some really awesome stuff. And of course, last video too, some really awesome stuff. And that video, I'll of course have it linked below, so you can go watch that if you haven't seen it yet. Anyways, that's it. Please make sure to like and subscribe and comment down your thoughts. Anyways, I'll see you next time. Goodbye.